Hello. Welcome to another off-the-cuff chat with me, FPL Mez. And today I've got a special guest, Andy, FPL Mode. Oh. Let's just check if everyone can hear us. It looks like... actually, Andy, do you want to just say something? I feel like I can hear you from here. I think we're having a little bit of problem with spaces at the moment. I think it's coming through on YouTube though, so we can probably just start. All right, we'll just give it a moment.
Right now?
Yeah, I think we can hear you now.
Hello?
Let's just get everyone to confirm request.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Can everyone on Spaces give a thumbs up if you can hear us on Spaces? Andy, do you want to just say something just in case?
Yeah, there we go. Hello. I think we're back.
Yeah, that's really bizarre. All right. It looks like it looks like we can hear on YouTube, but I can't hear you, Andy, either. That's really strange. Let me just try and. Sorry about this, guys. It's really strange.
You try now? Can you hear me now?
I think the problem is if we can hear on Spaces. Hello. Andy, can you hear me?
Hello. I can hear you.
Can you just request a speaker again, Andy?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Oh. Hello.
Oh, how frustrating. Hello.
There you go. I can hear you.
No, I still can't hear you. I think we had a similar issue towards the end of the conversation with Pras as well. It's very, very annoying and bizarre. Yeah. What I might do, if that's okay, we'll just move the conversation to YouTube entirely. I think it'll be that we just can't get through on Spaces, or Spaces can be heard, but maybe they can hear us there. But it looks like we're coming through onto YouTube anyway. But it just means that we can't hear each other, so I'm just going to change over the connection, like the headphone connection.
You still can't hear me?
I can hear you. Oh, wow. Okay, that worked. Something worked.
There you go.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, okay. Spaces, can you give us a thumbs up that you can hear us both? Yes. Yeah, fantastic. Okay. Good. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about that. Have no idea. It's always sort of it's always a lot of fun trying to work out what's working and what's not working. However, let's start from now. Welcome to everyone that's joining us for another off the cuff conversation with me, FPL Mez, and today I've got my wonderful guest Andy, FPL Mode, joining us to chat FPL and everything else in between as well. So hey Andy, how are you?
Yeah, no, I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Obviously, you can tell that there's always tech issues, but actually, thank you so much. It's just amazing what you're doing this whole kind of doing it on Spaces and doing it on YouTube at the same time. Like, fair play to you. If I had to do that, I wouldn't know what I was doing. So yeah, you're
Oh,
a step ahead of me.
it's been a huge learning experience. Can I just say it's been a massive learning experience, and there's been something or another that I learn every time I've got a guest on. And as I was saying to you, Andy, just before we started chatting on the stream itself, when I had Pras on 2 weeks ago, he I started the stream and ended the stream really quickly, and had
Yeah.
to create a whole new YouTube stream. And I'm new to this. I've only been doing it for 3 months, so yeah, it was it was an interesting experience. But no, it's so great to have you, and thank you again for joining. I know the UCL matches are on. Some of them are on anyway, or at least the tail end of them. So I appreciate sort of people tuning in as well on YouTube and on Spaces during the second half. I have no idea what the scores are saying at the moment, but yeah, I think because Liverpool's not in it, I'm not sort of as invested in the UCL.
Yeah. Well, it's been good tonight so far. I think City are losing, so obviously that makes me happy.
Oh, really? What was the score?
Yeah.
Like, did you?
2-0 at half time. They're losing at home,
No.
so we're all
Oh,
happy. Yeah.
wow. Yeah. No, I'm down for that. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
So Andy, tell us a bit like something that we don't know about you, because like obviously we
Ooh.
know you from Scoutcast, and obviously you've been doing a lot of work with Fantasy Football Scout, and just you've popped up everywhere as well, like recently, like being on Black Box, and all the places, which is great. I really enjoy your content, and I
Thank you.
enjoyed the conversational aspects, and this show is very much conversational, and so a lot of what we do is just chat about anything and everything. There's a lot of swearing. I'll try not to swear too much. I've been working on that. It just comes out,
Yeah.
and especially when you have game weeks like Cash fucking up, this game week. There you go. It's just like as soon as I think of Cash at the moment, I just want to swear at him.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we've seen you like lots of different places, but yeah, like what do you do for work as well, and how does that relate to FPL?
Yeah, so a few people know. So I am actually a teacher. A few people kind of take the mickey and kind of go, "Are you actually?" And I am. My original handle was FPL Teach Mode, and that's based on. I'm a big NFL fan as well, and there was a player called Beast
Oh,
Mode, so I just thought I'd go with Teach Mode.
right.
And yeah, so I teach 7 to 8 year olds, and I've been a
Mm,
teacher now for about 12 years. So I've been doing it for a little while. Uh, Massively enjoy it, and try to get the kids involved with FPL when I can, but it's probably still a little bit young at the moment. But
yeah.
no, massively enjoy it, massively. And that's probably the thing most people get confused about, is that I am actually a teacher. Like, that is my job. And so when I'm doing these late night streams, I'm obviously up early in the morning to go and teach the world's youth. Yeah, but no, it's good. Like I said, I enjoy it, but I enjoy it. But obviously the other side of things is I absolutely love doing all the streams when I get home as well. Like, I absolutely love streaming with Flapjack and Seb on a Monday.
Yeah.
Love started to do my streams with Mark and Az on Black Box as well, and it's just really good fun. And when you go to like what they called FPL meets, and when we did where did I see you in
Yeah, it was at Meets. Yeah, that was a lot of
yeah,
fun. Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called now. Ed's
Yeah, I think
one.
it's just Meets. I think it's just,
Yeah.
isn't it just Meets? The one that Nima
No, I
and
feel like
Dan
it's
and
got a
Co
proper
do.
name, and I
Has
can't
it got a
remember
proper
what it's
name?
called. Yeah. Ed's gonna kill me. But no, it's just lovely. Like, there's this whole community that you can now be a part of, and there's
Yeah.
so many lovely, amazing people in it. And one of the biggest reasons, obviously, you were like, "Come on the pod," was because I got you to stand outside the Sydney Opera House with my name on it. So
Actually, that's a really good segue to ask you about this thing called Pressmaster.
oh
Tell us a
yes.
little bit about that. That was hilarious. I remember sort of popping up during the first international break or something. That
Yeah.
was so funny. I was just like, what is this thing going on? And then noticed that, yeah, it got bigger and bigger. Like there was day one, day two. I mean, obviously this one's the day two one that I've got on the screen. But yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so Greyhead, by the way, is one of the best people in the community. He
Yeah.
organizes so much just for fun, which is amazing. And he put a tweet out before the last international break saying, "Does anybody want to be involved in something called Prasmaster where you have to do tasks?" And I was like, yes, because anything like that I'm game for. and there was about 7 of us, maybe 8 of us, and he just gave us different like tasks to do every day,
Yeah.
and Praz would then score them at the end of every day.
So funny.
And it was brilliant. Like, yeah, and there were so many good good ones. I don't know whether you've got my picture of. I had to do a drawing of somebody in the community. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you have got it. You have got it.
I
So
know. I was
it was
so
just really good
impressed.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
sort
know.
of,
I
I
did that with my
recognized it
kids'
straight
felt tips.
away. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
did you?
I had to steal his felt tips. I did it in pencil first and then went over in felt tips. But yeah, no, it was great fun. Stuff like that I love doing.
So did you know that you could sketch, or was this like a hidden sort of talent of yours that you've uncovered, along the
I
way?
didn't even think it was that good. I did it and showed my wife, and she went, "That's okay." And I was like, "Oh, cheers." And then put it on Twitter. And I messaged Rocky straight away and was like,
Mm.
"Did this for you today?" And he was like, "Whoa." And
Wow.
Praz DM'd me and said, "Did you actually draw this?" I was like, "Yeah." I didn't even win the whole thing. I came second in the end.
No, I
So
know.
obviously, yeah,
I'm actually really
gutted.
gutted for you because we
Yeah.
like Dan and I put a lot of effort into this. Black Wolf.
Oh
That
well,
was yeah, that was really funny because I had so many people. I'm going to put the picture of me holding up this sign. So I managed to kind of drag along, a friend with me, and it was actually a colleague, and so I just happened to be going into the area. So I don't live that close. I mean, I'm about 10 minutes away from the Sydney Harbour and
yeah.
the Opera House, and I was kind of going to be in that area when you hit me up in that, that morning. And I was like, actually, it just so happens I need to be in that vicinity. And so I grabbed my Post-it notes, stuck them on a piece of paper, and rocked up there with my colleague, gave them the camera and said, "Can you just take a picture?" But I had loads of
Oh.
people walking by sort of going, "Who's Andy?"
I know. I got loads of followers that morning. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was hilarious. But yeah, no, it was good fun. But I'm gutted that you didn't come first.
I think I messed up as well because I had about 5 people that sent me photos, and it turns out that I didn't actually get the 2 that were the furthest away.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, so
noticed that.
I had oh no, I messed up. But I just literally went, "Oh, here we go. I got one from California, one from Sydney. That must be it." But it turns out the one I had
We're
from
closer.
Scotland would have been better. Yes, I didn't think I'm a flat earther. See, no, I'm not. I'm not. So I was thinking, yeah. So obviously, if you went from there to there, it would work. But yeah, there you go. This is me,
Yeah.
teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You
Oh, there
don't
you go.
teach geography, right? Like, or is it?
No, I
I guess a
do.
bit of everything.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Oh,
But I
that's
have
so
to say as
funny.
well, so thank you so much for doing that because it just shows what an amazing community we've got that
Yeah.
5 people, including yourself, went and put a picture up with my name on it next to a landmark. It's just amazing. So thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been a lot of fun. Like I've mentioned this a few times on my streams that the community over here in Australia, they're fantastic as well. Like such a wonderful bunch of people, very very humble and friendly. And when I started playing FPL, I'm in my 3rd season. I didn't know many people, that were playing over here, especially in Australia. It's really difficult to watch the matches as you would have heard, just with the time difference and everything. Like right now, the time difference is pretty harsh for us because
Yeah.
they're on at like 2 a.m. Sometimes 3:30 a.m. that kind of thing, and it's nice during the week. So with the midweek sort of matches that we're going to have, coming up soon, it's not so bad because they'll be on at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. that kind of thing, and the UCL matches are
Yeah.
on at a decent hour. And I wake up really early, so I don't mind waking up at like 5:30, 6 a.m. and watching some football before my day starts. But when they're on at 2 a.m., it's so challenging. So I just stopped like watching regularly and stopped sort of, I came across FPL but didn't really want to touch it just because it's going to be hard to play. And then I met this amazing community over here as well, and I was like, yeah, no, this could be fun. And we
Yeah, it
started doing
sucks you in.
meets. Yeah, and we started doing meets over here in Sydney as well. So we became a chapter. Sydney chapter of meets, after I hit up Nima and went to the London meets, which is where I met you. It was lovely, to
Yeah.
kind of hang out with this amazing community. And it was nice to meet the community in London as well, because I'm from London and,
Yeah.
I never really connected with, community around like football community or FPL or anything like that while I was in the UK. And so now I found this, new love for FPL, and I miss, like, yeah, I've got loads of friends and family in the UK who play, and I was like, shit, wish I started playing a little bit earlier than what I did, but it's okay. It's it sort of encourages me to go back every time and catch up with everyone over there as well.
Yeah, you're into it now, though. That's the most important thing. And obviously, there's so many. Like I've been playing for a while, and
Yeah,
there's so many.
I was actually going to
yeah,
ask you about that. Yeah, it's almost like my script over here.
Professional, see, professional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's been a while. So what's that? 16, 17 years, and that's. I mean, I was playing before that as well. But you look, I mean, this 17 years. So I was a teenager when I started playing.
Yeah.
And I obviously wasn't taking it seriously. I didn't even know there was an overall rank back then. But I kind of, you can see I started getting really competitive with one of my mates, and we were getting really good. That was about 2013, 14. And you can see that it got better as it went.
Yeah.
And then 2019, 20 was when I joined Twitter.
Ah!
and it went downhill for a little bit. Yeah. But that's interesting. I've said this for ages. Like, Twitter can be the most amazing place in the world.
Yeah.
And it can also be really bad for you because when I joined, you could see, like, I had 36k finish, 15k finish.
Yeah.
And I joined Twitter and thought that everybody was an expert, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I started trying to listen to way too many people. And it took me 2 years to realize how to take that information and what to do with it, if that makes sense. And you look since then, like 2021 onwards, like to 52k, 39k. I know they're not amazing, but I've definitely kind of learned how to deal with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I have to admit that I fully sort of went into the I guess like the content sort of just consuming everything and anything that I could in my first season. Also because I didn't know how to play FPL, and I needed to sort of find things to learn from, and I wasn't able to like pick up a book, and I feel like it's such a moving. It's just so fast paced, so fast moving with everything that's going on. So I quite like theory. Like, I don't mind theory, but I like the practical side. Like, I'm more of a learn by doing kind of person.
Yeah.
And so I rather just jump in the deep end and just try and swim, basically. And if I'm doing something right, then great. And then if I'm drowning, then I work harder, that kind of thing. And so I was like, I'm going to read some of the content that's available to me, online. But I'd rather just watch and see how people are playing. And so that first season, I consumed so much content, so much, like anything and everything. But in my second season, I didn't. I was a bit more selective about what I was watching and what I was, like consuming, reading, doing, who I was following on Twitter. So I joined Twitter probably sort of a third of the way through in my first season. So I hadn't really come across it. I didn't know about it either. And then you're right, like it's just that you can go really deep into it, and it's an amazing community. Like, don't get me wrong, it's an amazing community, and that's why I enjoy doing the spaces part of it as well, because it's just a great way of connecting with the community and sharing and learning. But it is a bubble, right? And like, as soon as you see a bandwagon thing happening on Twitter, and you're like, oh wow, I have a really shit team all of a sudden, and everyone is jumping onto so and so player. And like, I feel like I don't have them. But then you look at the EO, and you look at sort of, vaguely what people are doing, after you've kind of gone past the deadline, and you're like, oh, maybe that's not so big, right? And so I've made 100%. That mistake a few times.
Yeah, and it's how it can make you second guess your good thinking as well. Like, I get called a template manager all the time. Like, genuinely, every single week I get called a template manager. And if I wasn't on Twitter, I'd be making those moves, getting points, and thinking, oh, I'm good at this. Whereas when you're on Twitter, you're literally getting told, no, that's not what you should be doing. And it just makes you second guess those simple moves that everybody should be doing, but because there's other people out there, and it's only one or two people, but this is social media in general, isn't it? So it's how it works. But I think it does just take a little while to get used to it and know how to kind of use it for what it is, if that makes sense. And like we both said, there are so many amazing people out there, and it's just kind of being selective with who you listen to sometimes.
I agree. And, I sort of, I needed to have those 2 seasons of, my first season not being a great season. I mean, I finished all right in like it's all relative, isn't it? So when I think about the season that I'm having at the moment, which is, I'm sitting at 1.4 mil now. When I compare that to my first season where I finished in top 200, 200k I finished in. That sounds amazing all of a sudden. So if someone asked me, hey, I'll give you a top 200k finish for this season, I'd probably take it because I don't know if I'm going to make it, there. But, I learned a lot from that first season, learned a lot from the community in that first season as well. And but I had a better second season because I switched off from it. Like I turned down the noise, right? And just dialed it down and sort of tuned into the specific things that I, people that I wanted to learn from to just refine my skill there. So it's great to see. I mean, 17 seasons, that's a really long time. Wow.
I've got a lot of screenshots.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I realized that actually. I was looking at my camera roll last week and realized how many screenshots I had that had just green on there.
I know. Yeah. I know. It's
anyway, so let's talk a little bit more FPL specific. Andy, how's your season going? Actually, let's not talk about the game week first. How's your season going? About this game week yet. Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to talk about it because you sold Gordon. Like, what the fuck?
Don't. Let's talk about the season as a whole.
The season first.
So it didn't start very well, to be perfectly honest. I kept Man United. I kept Bruno and Rashford for too long. I had Chelsea. I invested heavily in Chelsea, and they really didn't repay me. And I was 2.8 million in game week 7, and then played my wild card. And by game week 10, I was about 500k. So I went up 1 million every week for a couple of weeks, which was really nice. And now I'm kind of around 400. I've been around 300, 500k for a couple of weeks. So I'll take it. It's I jumped on Gordon and Bowen nice and early on the wild card, and that did me really well.
Yeah.
Even though I sold one of them this week. But no, so this week's been my worst week for a couple of weeks, to be fair. I've been due a red, so it's not too bad. And when I take it into account that, like I said, I was 2.8 4 or 5 weeks ago, I'll take it. It's not too bad. But this week, I sold Gordon for Eze. So basically, my whole plan was to get Eze for 3 weeks and then to move to Parma. And then it was to sell Bowen and cash this week for Saliba and Mbumo. This has been my plan for weeks. I've had it all planned out. I knew exactly what I was doing. Eze, 3 gorgeous weeks. Gordon, fixture congestion like mad, playing every 3 days, probably going to miss some. Thought they were going to stop scoring goals. Yeah, couldn't have gone worse the first week, to be perfectly honest. The Eze was going up, so I did it Friday night. Then I found out Bowen wasn't playing on the Saturday. Could have sold Bowen, and then I would have kept Gordon. I also moved the captaincy off of Haaland to Son. Like, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong this week. So I cost myself about 15 points this week. I think I worked it out.
Yeah, that's
and
Eze
getting injured is just.
I was going to say that Eze was actually a good move. I thought, as well. I remember seeing your tweet saying that you were going to move off of Gordon. I mean, I think the moving off of Gordon part, right? Like that, I was actually thinking about it as well because I could have gone Gordon directly to Mbumo. But Mitoma became a problem for me. And so I took out Mitoma instead and brought in Mbumo, now realizing how to say his name. Like we all did, I think, after that video came out with pronunciations. But Eze's a really good, Eze looked good on paper, right? So
yeah, and he had the penalties as well.
Exactly.
And 3 lovely fixtures. So
that's right. Yeah.
And he's such an easy move to Parma. A lot of it made sense, and obviously in hindsight you can easily say Gordon's never blanked at home and all that kind of stuff, but against Chelsea I was just thinking, I thought it was going to be a tight game, and obviously I didn't expect the red card, but it happens. If this was 4 or 5 years ago, this would have plagued me every day and I'd have been beating myself up about it. But I'm very good now at just saying the theory was there, it's happened, it's 1 week in 38 weeks. It's fine.
Yeah, no, that's fair. With the Son captaincy though, like what was So did you have your armband on Haaland and then you switched it, or okay.
Yeah, yeah, all week, all week. Yeah, I had it on him, and then I did late tackle with Mark,
Yeah.
and he sounded so convincing about Son, and I don't normally get swayed. And I was like, do you know what? That high line, it could be good. And obviously, he scored his 3 offside goals,
Mm.
and I was like, oh, brilliant. But Haaland got 7, and I was like, that's fine. I'll take 7. Like I was
Yeah.
expecting him to score, and I was just thinking, Son just needs a goal. He just needs a goal, and obviously he didn't get it, did he? But
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
again, that's it happens. Captaincy's been tough this year.
It's
We
been
seem to always be
so
going for the wrong
hard.
ones.
I've not been able to nail that at all. Like I think since game week, I probably had maybe a couple of game weeks where captains. I mean, and even then, they've not been massive hauls either. It's not as though
Yeah,
one captain went off on one, kind of thing. It was. I've just been moving it between Salah and Haaland in my case, and then I
yeah,
got rid of Salah and then had I think I captained Madison somewhere in between there as well, which I don't know, like it was one of the, I think it was against it might have been against Sheffield or Luton, one of those, yeah, like
hmm,
where we would have expected either Son or Madison to get some returns, but it wasn't sort of enough, and that was the same week that Haaland went off, and so. I
yeah.
was like, ah, shit, I'm just not getting the captaincies right. And we're like, what, 14, 13 game weeks in now. And I'm like, how is it that I've only got a couple of captaincy shouts right? It's just
Yeah,
weird.
and let's not even talk about goalkeepers because I think I've
Oh,
had one goalkeeper return all season so far, which was Turner, and I think that was
yeah.
in game week 7 or 8. Like that's been my
Oh,
only
really?
goalkeeper return all season. Yeah, it's
See,
crazy.
I had Pickford. I had Pickford game week 8 where he got his 9 pointer.
Oh, nice.
I think it was a nine
After I sold him,
pointer. Yeah, yeah. Well, I then wildcarded in 9. And so I was really happy about that. I was like, oh, thank you so much. You can now fuck off.
parting gift, lovely.
Oh, so funny. But yeah, look, I don't know. Like I've been just kind of focusing on each game week as a separate sort of game week, and not sort of
Yeah.
thinking like not looking back too much either. So I've been doing
Mhm.
like little, retrospectives as well, seeing what sort of decisions I've been making, but also sort of making decisions around, okay, well, what are the fixtures telling me? Not over engineering it, not overcooking it, and sort of, I am a bit of an overthinker when it comes to like planning, and I like the process of planning, and I like the
Yeah,
looking ahead and all of that. But it's been so hard, especially when like the fixtures you expect to be tougher or easier haven't been tougher or easier. They've just kind of been a bit of a surprise, like Brighton, for example,
mm,
and how
yeah,
they're
yeah.
playing. So yeah, I'm gutted that I went with like Matoma, for example, in my team for a couple of game weeks. And did you have Matoma? Did you bring in any
No,
of the Brighton
no,
boys?
didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't bring in any actually. I was really, really worried that about rotation, and I was really worried that owning them would just be turn into a nightmare. So I avoided them and bought
Yeah.
Eze. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So, I think we're going to talk about like what we're thinking about doing, later. But yeah, look, in comparison, I had a slightly better game week.
you
Um,
did smashed it.
yeah, yeah, I'm really happy with it because I've just had lots of back-to-back red arrows, but they've not been massive red arrows, if that makes sense. It's just
Mm,
been like, 5% red arrow or a 10% red arrow. It's not been huge. It's just been
yeah,
close enough to my safety score, basically, and just not really budging too much. So this was a nice sort of a bigger leap in the right direction, which was really nice. And but I'm so annoyed with Cash. Like Cash has been fucking useless. Can I just say, like,
yeah.
if he's just had, like, if you look at, I mean, look at this. Like from a returns point of view, I don't know how big that is on everyone's screens, but since game week 8, he's got 2 points, 2 points, 5 pointer against Luton, 0, 2 points, 0 points. So I'm just
Yeah.
like, I think you've already made your move, but yeah,
I have, yeah. And it
I'm
is getting
close
rid of
to
Cash
shoving
as
him
well.
out. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is about them, I guess, they're winning the games. Like Villa are a very, very good team this year. They're in fourth
Yeah.
now. People are talking about can they finish top 4? There's no
Yeah.
reason why they can't. They're very, very well managed. They're just not keeping the clean sheets even at home, and
Yeah.
he's not getting those attacking returns. And this week, I mean, I mentioned it on Scoutcast saying that he's quite similar to Chilwell in terms of he's now not playing right back at times. He's playing right wing, but that does mean that he's prone to getting subbed off early. And obviously this week he got subbed off at half time because he got booked as well.
Yeah.
And he's just becoming a bit of a danger. And moving forward, you've already got an Arsenal defender, see, because I think that's the priority is getting an Arsenal defender in. But apart from that, I suppose it's tough to say who do you get him out for, because defenders in general are just awful.
This is the problem. This is a problem. And even then, I'm not necessarily happy with Gabriel. Like, he's been a bloody pain in the arse as well. You know, like, I remember sort of at meets, actually, when I didn't get the memo. Like, I was there.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the memo about, maybe, you know, switch over to Saliba or anything like that. Because I was a bit more focused on Stones not starting, because I had Stones in my starting lineup. And then I switched over to Walker really last minute as I was driving to the airport. Yeah, my dad was driving me to the airport. And he was chatting away about something. And I was like, Dad, I need you to just, can we just, like, can you give me 5 minutes? It was like deadline time as I was going to the airport, trying to work out what to do. But I totally missed the, you know, like, should I switch over to Saliba or, you know, I had Saliba on my mind, but decided to go Gabriel even, because of his aerial threat and, I don't know, set pieces and all of that sort of jazz. So I went there. He's obviously been benched a few times and or not played, you know, at all. And so I've kind of just held on because there's been other problems, right? And so I don't regret it now. But yeah, you're right. Like, when you think about who do you bring in instead, like, of course I want to get rid of Cash, but I got rid of Simicast. You know, the other game, like, I got rid of Simicast 2 game weeks ago. Actually, no, just before the City match, City game, I got rid of him because I think I was going to bench. I was going to bench him anyway, and then brought in Lascelles just to save some money, and so I'm almost tempted to go back to Simicast or something like that. You know, if I got rid of Cash, it would be, do I go back? Do you go back? Have you ever gone back on a player?
Well, I've obviously got that same thought with, do I go back to Gordon? So do I go from Eze to Gordon, for instance? Exactly. And it's like, the one thing I will say is don't in your head think, I can't go back. Like, I've made that mistake. I can't possibly go back. You've got to just think, what if I didn't do that? Would you now make that move, if that makes sense? And I think Simicast isn't a bad move moving forward. Obviously, there's still some X minutes issues there. It's whether you go for it thinking, you know, are Liverpool going to get, or is Simicast going to get me the most points moving forward? Or do I kind of get in a Brentford player, knowing they've got the double coming up, potentially in 80, but they do have a blank in 18? There's lots of factors at the moment. And again, I sorry to keep mentioning it, obviously it was only last night. We were looking a lot about, on Scoutcast, about attacking upside as well from these players, because these clean sheets just aren't happening. Like, we've been waiting all year and they're still not happening. And it's like, so which defenders are going to get you, you know, some attacking upside as well? Obviously Cash is up there, but then you've got other players that you could potentially bring in. Big one that's now suspended, but you could maybe bring him in a couple of weeks, obviously Reece James as well.
Oh my god, you know, so James is on my
there.
do not bring into my team list. And
really,
well, I created, so FPL planner Tien introduced me to his no buy list, basically, and obviously
really?
he's got a longer, you know, he's been playing FPL a lot longer than I have, you know. So in my 3 seasons, I've very quickly realised that I should not bring in Reece James because he's the ultimate FPL troll. So I've kind of put him on that list at the moment, but I mean, look, if he's not injured, if he's not, you know, he's getting red cards, and I don't know, I'm not super excited about. I mean, the prospect is there, of course. The possibilities are endless there, but I just don't feel confident in bringing him in.
You wait. When it gets to game week 16 and you're looking and you're thinking, oh, how can I fit more Chelsea in? And you look at Sterling, but you've got your 5 midfielders already. You're never going to get Jackson. And you think, no, I went James.
Oh, I could. And he's only 5.
I'm writing it down now. You wait. Game week 16, I'll message you and go,
5.3.
So Reece James? And you'll be like, oh, yeah. He might be 5.2 by then. Bargain.
Yeah, probably. Actually, Reece James is a terrible idea. If you have him, sell him.
Someone will clip this now and go, Meera said she wouldn't, and you'll be tweeting going, yeah, I've just got Reece James.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Yeah. Look, if not Reece James, then who, right? I think there was a while where we all thought maybe Chilwell, and then I don't know what happened there. Like he was just not getting the minutes, right? And switcheroo with Mudryk and stuff.
Yeah, and Colwill kind of started playing left back as well at times, and they were kind of playing Chilwell as a left winger, which, like we said, was amazing to start with, but then was coming out of games early or not playing.
Yeah.
I think if you were to change Cash now, you would most probably either move into an Arsenal defender, and double Arsenal defence isn't bad either, by the way.
Yeah.
You could go with like a Zinchenko, for instance. But I think apart from that, you probably go cheaper. And you probably, because the clean sheets just aren't there, you probably go cheaper and free up funds for higher up the pitch. You're looking at players that have just have nice fixtures up until the blank. So you could go for a Toffolo. Forest have nice fixtures.
Yeah,
you could go for a Castagna. You could go for like a Pinnock or something like that if you wanted to prepare for Brentford. There's a few options out there. Nori's been mentioned, but he went off injured last night. I don't know how he is now. Yeah. So there's a few little players out there, but they're quite uninspiring. You're just looking at rotations really with your other defenders, I would say.
Oh, totally. And I think there's like question marks, question marks galore, I think, at the moment as well. Like, I'm not too crazy about, like, Saka is just ticking over, of course. Like, he's getting, a assist. And that's what it looks like for him more than anything. It just seems like loads of assists for him. But at sort of 8.5, I think he's still priced at 8.5, maybe 8.6 now or something. I don't know if that's worth it as well, like just for the assist. And he's on the pens, right? So, when I had Prass on a couple of weeks ago, he really sort of drilled it in around the penalty takers. And I hadn't really been focusing on stuff like that as a sort of FPL manager. I hadn't really been thinking about, okay, who are the penalty takers? I should prioritize bringing them in. But he made some really good, valid points about the pen takers, and I think that's his style of play, and it seems like that's a good style of play as well, especially with Palmer in most. You've got Palmer in your team as well, haven't you? Have you?
I do not.
No,
no,
okay,
I'm hoping to. So it was going to be Eze to
right.
Palmer.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I look at Saka and I think, do I hold on to him at 8 point something and hope he just keeps getting an assist? But he's not really had the explosiveness that, we've seen in last season, for example.
I would say hold on to him. I've got no ideas to get rid of him at the moment. I'm kind of looking at who I want over this Christmas period, and Saka's one of them. He plays pretty much every single game as long as he's fit. He's on penalties as well. It has worried me a little bit, his stats in terms of his XA over the last couple of weeks, and they've been very, very low, but he's getting returns even though they're low. So as soon as he starts producing a bit more, he's going to start banging again. Yeah. I just also look and think over the next couple of weeks, where am I wanting to make my moves? I notice you don't have Son, which is obviously quite interesting as well. But if I'm looking at where I'm making my moves, it's not Saka I'm losing. And you look at, Salah and Son in January are going to be going to their, respective tournaments as well. Saka's just going to be in my team for quite a while, I think. For that price, I just don't know who I'd move to, unless I was moving down to, like, say, a Palmer and then maybe upgrading my third striker and go, playing four in the middle. I don't think I will. I'm more than happy to hold Saka. And Praz is 100% right. Penalty takers are massive in this game. We're not seeing we have seen quite a lot of penalties this year, but not from the penalty takers we tend to own. Mbumo's there, for instance. Mbumo's such a great asset this season because he's on penalties, because obviously Tony's normally on them. So, I think Watkins is the interesting one because obviously he's not on penalties, but I think Saka's a good hold moving forward. I would 100% hold him. He's not a fire you need to get rid of.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm quite gutted about. So I brought in Bowen on my wild card, and I brought in Mitoma on my wild card in 9, so game week 9, and of course, both had very good fixtures and coming up, especially the West Ham sort of fixture run, especially, and it's just not really worked out, and I had to get rid of Mitoma because we knew that he was going to be benched, and so. But then he was seen in training, and I was like, oh shit, what the hell's going on?
No.
I feel like there was a bunch of moves that I made during my wildcard that was planning for this fixture crunch that we're coming towards as well, and they haven't quite worked out the way I hoped, they would. And so, yeah, it's one of those things where you sort of go, do you like, what do you do? Do you sort of go back, like I say, do you go back on some of those players, or do you sort of just move on, move forward, with those? I don't know. I have 2 free transfers going into game week 14, and at the moment, I
Nice.
quite like the idea of rolling one each time. But I have a question around goalkeepers, because look, I know like we've not had much luck with goalkeepers in general, but Kelleher is, going to be probably playing now, with Allison
Yeah.
being out. I know you touched on that a little bit, last night on Scoutcast. Not last night actually. It's Wednesday for me today. On Monday, I think it was. That you guys
That's
did
fine.
that. But
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on that? Because I've ditched Simicast, of course, and I'm thinking I don't want to go back to Simicast because Robertson may be back in a couple of game weeks' time,
Yeah.
or maybe by 19 or 20. But if we think about it, 19 game week 19-20 is not that far away.
Yeah, but it's a lot of game weeks. That's the
Yes.
difference. It's
Yeah.
5, 6 game weeks until he's potentially back, so that's more than enough time. I
Yeah.
I would not be going Kelleher myself personally. One, because you'd be surprised how long you'll probably have to keep him in your team for,
Yeah.
and two, because you don't want to use up that third Liverpool spot. That's always the biggest thing for me, is that if, I mean, obviously you don't have Simicast, but for instance, if you're somebody that has Salah and Simicast and then you use it up on Kelleher, the one player that I would try and get into my team potentially is Darwin as well. And you don't want to think, I can't possibly get him now, because for instance, if Watkins goes down next week,
Yeah.
that Darwin switch is going to be extremely popular. So I think I wouldn't be doing it myself. Also, I don't think we've had any real time frame about how long Allison could be out for. I was looking at it a lot today, and it doesn't seem like we've had anything concrete. So it
Okay.
could literally be a week or 2 weeks. If that, I don't even know, how long he's supposed to be out for. So I don't think I would. Areola's fine because of the fixtures coming up, and I
Yeah.
love the fact that he doesn't often get just the 2 points. Like, he does also get those save points. So, for instance, he got 3 points this week.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. Those extra points do add up.
They do add up. Yeah. Yeah.
They do,
And
and I think
it
it's
makes a
okay. I
difference.
think it's okay to
Yeah.
keep him. Yeah, even with your 2 free transfers, like you're looking at Bowen, and I'm thinking, yeah, change Bowen and then keep rolling your transfer, because with games every 3 or 4 days, you're going to need to be using those transfers, I think, each week. So just keep the goalkeeper that's playing, I guess. Turner's annoying, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah, well, there was I mean, actually, I'm just looking at the chat, and rumor, so Ryan from Football Chat Box just says rumor is 5 weeks, that Allison would be out. I think that's the Allison one, yeah. And City are now 2-2.
Oh, nice. That's about right.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. So I might actually switch over to like some of the planning side of, I will see. Have you got the hop on, hop off? Actually, not the hop on, hop off. We can look at the Lego Mane one. I'll see if I can. I don't have it on the screen that I'm sharing. However, I will change it over to another view for YouTube listeners and sort of people watching on there. Sorry, I've got the Ben Crellin one on your screen, Andy. But
That's
if you
fine.
have the Lego Mane one, I've got that one up on the YouTube one. So yeah, just looking at like the fixture sort of crunch. I'll see if I can get it up on the other screen as well. But yeah, I thought we'd look at the Ben Crellin one as well. Yeah, so obviously there is a lot of fixtures coming up. There's like 7 fixtures in December. So yeah. So I believe you've used up your 2 free transfers that you had. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, yes. Don't usually do
So
that. I did it on Sunday night.
you're rubbing your head. Why? Like what what
Ah,
happened there? Tell us.
so basically, like I said, my plan was always Bowen and Cash to Saliba and Mbumo. Saliba and Mbumo were going up.
Yeah.
Cash and Bowen potentially going down.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, if I don't do this now, I literally can't get Mbumo. And I really, really wanted him for Luton at home. Like I said, I've been planning this for weeks.
Yeah.
It was the Eze move that has messed me up a bit, but there you go. but I really wanted to do it, so I had to do it, and it proved right in terms of those players did go up and those players did go down.
Yeah.
But the thing that kind of hurts is obviously there's midweek games. So if something goes wrong midweek, I'm not in the best position. But I have got bench. I've got bench cover. I've got what's his name? I've got Maguire. I've got Taylor, who's got a nice game. Sheffield United at home. That's not too bad. I'm probably going to play him, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I
So I've
think
got
that's a good
players
one.
that can play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm even got Archer, which you don't want to have to play, but he is there if I need him. So I've got to bench Eze because he's out for 4 weeks, but he will be going next week. I'm half tempted to take a hit to get Palmer in, but I don't think I will because obviously Palmer's got Brighton at home, and I want him anyway. So I'm half tempted, but we'll see. But yeah, it's that would be my first hit of the season actually.
Oh,
So
really? Oh,
yeah,
wow. Okay.
yeah, I know. But I know the other thing is as well. I know I wanted Mbumo and I know I wanted Saliba. So they are two players that I 100% wanted. I wanted Saliba over any other Arsenal defender because I don't want to have to worry about him over the Christmas period.
Yeah.
Mbumo will play all the minutes, and I'm happy with that. He's on pens as well. So they're two players I wanted. They've gone up in price. I've just done it very, very early. So it could hurt me, but we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. The only time I've gone early this season was earlier in the season when I got rid of João Pedro
Yeah.
and brought in Jackson. And then
Oh,
I know it was like a,
was that
it
before
was,
Luton?
yeah, it was a transfer as well for me. And it's so funny, isn't it? Because like João Pedro got how many points like just gone on the weekend? I think it was like 13
13.
or 14 points. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, like, and he's been like on pens and ticking along, whenever he has played, but just no confidence in the Brighton the Brighton players at the moment. But yeah, it was the same with Jackson as well. So then I transferred him out really quickly as well, and so yeah, I decided after that I'm not going to make early transfers, and so I've actually missed out on so many price increases, so many price drops as well. My team value is not very high. It's not as good as I hoped it would be by now. But that's the thing. Like I don't have much money in the bank at all. I've only got like 0.2 mil or something like that. And so
Yeah.
that's why I got rid of Simicast because, to sort of enable some future transfers of, I didn't know that if I was going to hold on to Matoma or not. And so if I had held on to Matoma, if I didn't get rid of Simicast and bring in Lascelles, I wouldn't have been able to go Matoma to Mbumo because Mbumo's like 0.3 or 4 more than Matoma, and Matoma was dropping,
Yeah.
I think. Not sure if that would have impacted me or not. But I've made a lot of decisions around the price changes as well as, just kind of just what's going on, and gone early on a couple of occasions and regretted it as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like the season for me has just been a bit of a clusterfuck from that point of view. Unfortunately, it's not been great from that perspective. But I've taken 2 hits as well. Yeah.
I mean, I was. Have you? That's okay. I mean, I was talking to you before the stream one night saying that this is the time though, like over Christmas when there's games every 3 to 4 days and we're getting deadlines, 2 to 3 deadlines every week.
Yeah.
This is the time where if you're engaged, you start to really make it up on the chasing pack, especially with the blank game week with Haaland obviously not playing because he's still going to be perma captain by a lot of ghost ship teams out there.
Yeah.
With Salah and Son both going to AFCON and the Asian Cup as well. This is the time where if you're engaged, you should be able to climb up the ranks. And even though you're 1.4 million, like I said, 4 or 5 weeks ago, I was 2.8 million. You can gain that so quickly. So
Yeah.
I think you'll be absolutely fine. As long as you're in the top million by, sometime around Christmas, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, that's promising. Thank you. Thanks for that positivity. But during this fixture crunch, right? So from 14 to at least, I think it's actually no, it's all the way through, isn't it? Right up until 18, 19, isn't it? Really, it's like seven game weeks over the next month. How are you sort of planning for that? I know that there is a couple of questions. We've got some Q&A sort of afterwards, and there was a question around that. But how do you plan for, this is after you've gone early, but if you were to plan, how do you plan for those possibilities as well. Like when you've got such back-to-back, because I think we've got 3 game weeks in 8 days or something coming up.
Yeah. I mean, although I did go early, I went early on players that I wanted anyway, and I know they're nailed players. And it's just getting those nailed players, those players are going to get those minutes moving forward. And there's the thing that's weird this year is that those nailed players are also on penalties, and most of them are midfielders. So that's why we've got those kind of 5 midfielders. We've got Saka, who's nailed, plays every game on penalties, will probably play every 3 to 4 games anyway, 3 to 4 days anyway. You've got Son, who they've got no choice but to play every week and is on penalties most likely. We've got Salah, who's going to play every game, is on penalties. They've got so many. Palmer as well, like we said, and Mbumo too. There's so many of these players that you can just invest in and know that you're fine. The biggest thing that you've got to make sure as well that you do is just make sure you've got a bench that plays. Like, if you've got 2 free transfers like yourself and you've got a player on your bench that was just, bench fodder, we've got really cheap defenders that play every week. Those 2 points, if you can get 2 points every week from an auto sub, that could be 10 points by the end of the Christmas period. And that could mean you're 10 points up. Look at what happened to Bowen. Bowen obviously didn't play. You want your playing player to come in. And also, there's every chance
bloody
that your
Archer coming in. So annoying. I had like Lascelles' second bench on there. So,
But there's been 2 weeks where Archer's returned, and he's returned fairly big. And you think, actually, if you're lucky enough that it's one of those weeks, then he comes in and you're laughing. And people had Gordon first on their bench this week.
I know,
like, there are those times where you can get really lucky, but you're not going to get lucky if those players aren't playing. So just make sure that your bench is full of players that do play. And they don't need to be expensive. They just need to be playing the minutes.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. That's a really good point, especially about the bench order as well. That's something that I hadn't really thought too hard about until, I started getting some auto subs coming through, and I was like, yeah, shit, I better think a little bit harder about this than usual. I was, gutted about, although there were a lot of previous game weeks where huge amount of points left on the bench, right? So do you think, so I've got 2 free transfers, and at the moment I'm thinking I want to hold on to one for as long as and keep rolling one for the desperate sort of needs that I might have during that, the fixture crunch itself. How do you prepare yourself for, am I just kind of holding it because I'm preparing myself for something that may or may not happen? But how do you sort of take the opportunity to, think ahead and bring in a player where you're, a little bit more ahead in the thinking, rather than going back on players, or sort of, catching up, because there is a bit of a template and it is quite strong as well. And as you notice, I haven't got Son. I feel like I've been getting away with not having Son, but it's been sort of on my mind as well. Like, do I bring in Son? Do I sort of downgrade, Trippier, for example, just free up some cash, and upgrade, one of my midfielders to Son later on, perhaps. But I'm holding on to a transfer to just kind of just in case. It's my just in case, shit hits the fan.
It's best way to play it. If you can have 2 free transfers, there's so much more you can do with 2 free transfers every week. And the thing you can do with 2 free transfers is obviously move funds around as well. And like you just said there with Trippier, if you only have 1 free transfer, yes, you can move Trippier down, but you're having to wait till next week to obviously move somebody else up. With 2 free transfers, you can do that. The other thing as well, like you just said, is over this period, there's going to be injuries, there's going to be rotation, there's going to be things that happen. If you've got 2 free transfers going into a game week, you can not only get rid of a player that's potentially injured, you can also do your planned move that you wanted to happen as well. Yeah. It's don't get me wrong, you could literally use those 2 free transfers next week. But it does just give you that little bit more in terms of, for instance, we got the blank game week in 18 coming up. If you've still got 2 free transfers for then, or if you can roll it out of game week 18, you're making 2 moves to get City players when everybody else has only got 1. So it just gives you that little bit of a leg up over everybody else, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just pulled up the one that Ben Crellin had posted, which I quite liked. Just from it's just giving me. I could print this out and update my board behind me actually with the fixtures. I quite like the physical nature of doing the planning and all of that. Actually, that reminds me of the So I mentioned it on my conversation with Pras, where I think you tweeted about someone sort of berating you for doing some physical sort of planning, like on pen and paper or something
Oh
like
yes,
that.
yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
I think I responded to you with my big post-it note board with,
You did, yeah.
which is a little bit lighter now. It's definitely sort of lighter than what I used to do in my first season. Anyway, it featured on burning questions, but it's just so funny how people sort of think about planning and how they do it, and I quite like the physical sort of side of it. But this is a really good sort of version that Ben Crellin put up, which gives me a good sense of exactly what's going on, like date by date. But how are you planning for blank, game week 18 at the moment?
Yeah, so at the moment, I mean, a lot of people are going to be in the same boat with blank game week 18, and obviously it is going to be the most owned player that blanks, which is Haaland. I think as long as you've got Haaland, because most of us are going to have Haaland and Mbumo going into that as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like one of those blank game weeks where we've known it's there for so long. And because the fixture run for City hasn't been amazing recently, some people have even gone without Haaland. The problem is their two fixtures before the blank game week and their fixtures directly after it are pretty good. So
Yeah.
you're going to be wanting Haaland for those. It's not like you can get rid of him earlier. But if you've got, say, like an Alvarez or what people maybe have Diaz or something like that still, you can maybe get rid of those before that. But the people that still have their wild card, I
Yeah.
think are going to be loving life after the blank
Oh,
game
yeah.
week because straight away in 19, you can get that triple City in. And I think if you can have Haaland, Alvarez, and I don't know, say a Doku if you really fancy it, but like a Diaz or an Edison, whatever it is, you're going to be laughing going into that double game week because I think everybody else is going to be clamoring to get them in, and they've obviously already done it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think my planning is just going to be. I'm more than happy to maybe get a Brentford defender in now to prepare myself, but it's just going to be keeping Haaland and Mbumo and then have them ready for the double game week. Blank
Yeah.
game weeks are always low scoring. Double game weeks have way more range as to what can happen. So it's
Yeah.
just making sure you're planned for the double game week more than the blank, if that makes sense.
Yeah, true, true. And yeah, so we've got like a couple of likely double game weeks there, don't we? Like, so on the actually what game week 20 basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Potentially. Yeah. So yeah, it doesn't seem like are we expecting more double game weeks sort of February time as well? Like that just hasn't been sort of thought of at the moment. Because I was thinking about bench boosting. Funny enough,
Yeah.
you've still got your bench boost chip, right? You've not done an accidental
Yeah.
bench boost
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
anything like that.
No. Who would do
Who
that?
does
Who
that?
would do that? Yeah, exactly. No, I've still got all my chips. I've still got all of them. But obviously, Ben Crellin said that it could be a little bit different this year. There could be one big double game week, but then kind of not such great ones. So
Yeah.
there have been a lot of people that are thinking game week 20, maybe we use something. Some people use it for the Luton Burnley. Was it Luton Burnley had a double game week, didn't they?
Yeah.
Earlier on in the season. So yeah, I will say as well, by the way, when you say about planning, and I'll shout him out all the time because he's an amazing lad and the app's amazing.
Yeah.
FPL team.
Yeah.
I use FPL team almost every week for my planning to just go
Yeah.
ahead. These are my transfers. What would my transfers look like? If I get this player in, how many
Yeah.
times am I actually going to use him moving forward? I use that so much.
Nice.
So shout
Okay.
out to him because that is a really good planning tool as
Yeah.
well.
Nice. No, I've used Plan FPL. I think just through the Scout membership, sort of from there, and just use that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't used the other one. I'll try and give it a go as well.
Yeah, give it a go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, so I was thinking about like bench boosting just because it's one of those chips that hasn't so far been that great for me. Like I've not ever sort of, well, in my very short sort of time that I've been playing FPL, I've not really got that much out of it. And so yeah, I was thinking about bench boosting, in 14 even, just because but that would mean taking out Turner. And that's why I was like socializing the idea of like, do I take out Turner and just bring in Kelleher? But then that also means that I don't bring in an extra, Liverpool attacker potentially. So if I do decide to go back to Tsimikas, then great, could do that. But I do want to bring in Darwin as well. So I'm really keen to sort of look at bringing in Darwin as well, just because they've got a good fixture run coming up as well.
Yeah,
but
they do.
yeah, but are you planning on holding on to Son then? So I'm just thinking about like looking ahead a bit more to what we are doing with our sort of players. So you've obviously covered, the few transfers that you've made.
Yeah.
But if I sort of just go back to my team and show you sort of what I'm thinking. So this is my team going into game week 14 at the moment. Yeah, I'm not sure. So I feel like I should just hold on to cash, annoyingly. I feel like I should just hold on to cash because they've got Bournemouth away. And not to say that I expect a clean sheet there or anything like that, but it just seems like a good fixture to hold on to cash for one more game week. But Bowen is definitely sort of a player that I would basically take out. But if I look at, like, from a bench boost point of view, if I took out Turner and Bowen, probably the only two that I'm like, probably not going to play. Turner's definitely not going to play. Bowen, we don't know. Actually, what do we know about Bowen's injury?
Same thing we knew last week, that he's got fluid on his knee, but whether he's going to play, we still don't know. We'll find out on Thursday though, because they've got midweek games. So if he plays midweek, then obviously he'll be absolutely fine for the weekend.
Yeah, I suppose there'll be a press conference for that as well. So we'll hear something hopefully hear something a little bit more from Moyes. So I could take, do 2 free transfers and then look at a bench boost, just because Archer's got Burnley and then, obviously Taylor, but I don't know what I'm expecting there. Archer sort of scoring, and then, but then I talked myself out of that very quickly as well. Like, it was that doesn't feel good, and I'd rather do it during a double game week, just because of the probability of scoring more points during that double game week. But it did cross my mind, though, just because it seems like, the players that I do have, especially those that are sitting on my bench, would have a decent fixture as well. So, but I'm just thinking about, like, team surgery in general. So, obviously I mentioned to you about Saka and whether I sort of go there or not with removing him, or maybe bringing in a Martinelli or Trossard or something like that, and just kind of spreading, the funds there. Versus, do I bring in Son? Do I not bring in Son? I feel like I've been getting away with not having Son for so long as well.
It doesn't feel like the week to get Son, if I'm honest, because they got Man City away, haven't they?
Yeah.
But I don't think the fixtures are all for moving forward. They got West Ham, Newcastle at home, but at least it's at home. Forest away, Everton at home. And in that blank game week, he's probably the captaincy choice in blank game week 18, which is big. Like, that is something you have to think about too, because obviously City don't play and Liverpool play Arsenal. So you're looking at Son potentially being the kind of best captaincy choice in 18.
Yeah.
I don't think I would, like I said, be getting Son. I don't think I'd be looking at bench boosts this week, just because a single game week bench boosts are always so tough, because you're just looking at that one fixture, whereas 2 fixtures, so much more can happen. And also with Archer playing Taylor, like you said, the chances of both of them coming out with something in that game are so low, aren't they? Like, Burnley to keep a clean sheet and Archer to score is like, it's so low. And obviously Turner, like, do you really want to be using that move on Turner this week?
No.
I just don't think you would be, because I have no idea who you go to. I've got no idea, unless you went Kelleher. That's
the only reason it came to mind. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So and also, like, West Ham, they've got an all right fixture there. Crystal Palace. I know they've just lost Eze, obviously, as well. So how attacking are they going to be? I think your team's fine. I think get rid of Bowen and probably bring in like a Palmer, so it's done.
Yeah.
If he's definitely declared out as well, because I'm assuming you'd bench Lascelles, would you?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, I'll probably end up doing that. And even then, like, I feel like I brought in the cells to sort of free up money, of course, and Botman could be sort of just round the corner, ready, to play again. So not so sure there. But yeah, I think with the Bowen one, so they've, and this is where I've sort of hesitated a little bit more, making decisions, like, West Ham have got such good fixtures coming up, right? They've got Palace and Spurs. Yeah, Spurs are leaky, and so, especially with their defence at the moment. Although, I guess, like, when will they be sort of... When do they get back? Spurs should have most of their defence back in soon, I think, in the next couple of game weeks, right?
Yeah, I'm not completely sure if I'm honest. Romero will be back because obviously he was only
Yeah,
suspended.
yeah,
Van der Veen, I'm not too sure because
yeah.
obviously, again, even if it's 2 weeks, that's 4 game weeks in terms of
True.
FPL, so
Yeah,
it's going to go
true.
so quickly. And Benton Core looks like he's out for 2.5 months again,
Yeah,
so
that
they
looked
are really
brutal.
injury ravaged. Yeah, I wouldn't be looking at, you know, I think attacking Spurs is fine. They're not keeping clean sheets. So if you've got a good attacker, so Bowen, he does have lovely fixtures. It's whether you want Bowen over this Christmas period because he's been such a good asset this year.
Exactly.
But again,
Yeah.
he's not on penalties and he could be slightly injured. So it's a tough one. But we will find out by Thursday probably a little bit of an
Yeah.
update on him. So I definitely wait for that if you've still got him. I would say,
Yeah.
although I haven't. But yeah.
I know it's yeah. So yeah, so I saw,
But you've got Mbumo.
I do, yeah. But yeah, I feel like, and that's the thing, right? I'm quite happy with the team in general. Like if I look at
Yeah.
the fixtures coming up, and the team that I've got right now, I'm relatively happy with it. If Bowen was fit, honestly, I wouldn't know what move to make, other than
Yeah.
looking at getting rid of Cash probably would have been the slightly luxury move for this week, just because, it is a good fixture. It's not like Cash is playing, Man City or something like that,
Yeah.
or have a terrible fixture. I mean, they also have a really good fixture in game week 18. So I've got that at the back of my mind as well, that, without planning too far ahead, that is a blank game week, and I probably want Cash around that sort of time. I don't know. I don't know how much I hate him to get rid of him at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. He'll do more this week to make you hate him. You'll be selling him. Reece James will be coming in next week.
Oh
You wait.
no! Oh gosh, you're
Yeah,
priming me with Reece James. I'm gonna write his name
I
down. I'm
am.
just gonna put
Just
it.
constantly putting it in the conversation. Yeah.
Someone in the chat just said, so Bobby just said, for your team, I would do Trippier to Saliba and Bowen to Son. I would be scared of not owning Son. Like, yeah, you know what? Like I say, I feel like I've been getting away with it for a while. Like
Yeah.
I was just looking at, just wanted to look at Son's. Yeah, so I had Son in game week 8, and that's right. So I had brought in Son game week 8, and then captained him against Luton.
Right.
And
Yeah.
obviously, he got a 3-pointer then. And then on my wild card, I got rid of him. So that's when it hurt. But he was also not that highly owned around like that time as well. Like he was, but he wasn't. And then he's just had 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. I feel like I've been getting away with it. So I don't know how much more I can get away with it, given how highly he's owned, especially around my rank. I think he's owned by I think it was like 50% or something ridiculous like
But
that.
again, this week isn't the week. I don't think Man City, like second best defense in the league. I don't think I'd do it this week personally.
No. Yeah, no, I agree. What about last question? So you're going to hold on to Son.
Yep.
It sounds like Saka you're going to hold on to as well. And
Yep.
not do too much there. But you are thinking about hit for Palmer. What's sort of pushing you or prompting you to do that at the moment?
What's pushing me a little bit at the moment is that I want Palmer anyway. So I want Palmer for 16. Obviously, I wanted Eze for this run. I think Palmer could do well against Brighton. I genuinely do. And it obviously only needs one kind of attack and return for me to get my hit back.
Yeah.
But it's who would be playing instead of Eze. So Maguire, I don't feel overly confident about having playing because he's got Newcastle away.
Yeah.
I don't feel overly confident about Taylor, although Taylor's the one that would probably play instead. And it's whether I play Taylor and don't take the hit for Palmer or whether I just wait a week. But I just feel like because I want Palmer anyway, whether I just take the hit, get him in, know that he could still do well for me, and then I have literally got the front seven I want for this Christmas period. So it's just whether I do it a week early, because if I do it next week, then Palmer has got Man United away, and it feels like that's maybe not the week to get him again then. And I'm obviously holding on to Eze because I'm not going to move to anybody else.
Yeah.
So it's, do I just get him now?
Yeah,
and then I've got him, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I'm definitely going Palmer. or even Sterling actually. Like, what's your thoughts on Sterling?
I like Sterling, and I do think he's up there in terms of the Chelsea assets who I'd like to own. But obviously, that's not a very high benchmark in terms of Chelsea assets I'd like to own. But Palmer's got the penalties. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like you look at his stats moving forward. It's not only the fact he's got the penalties though. It is his underlying stats have been very very good this season. And
yeah.
I brought up a graphic a couple of weeks ago from FPL Radar, Under the Radar, who were
Oh
brilliant,
yeah,
by the way,
yeah.
and they showed the
I like their
underlying
stuff.
stats. Underlying stats in correlation to the price of the player. And Palmer was just by
He was,
himself up in the right hand
yeah,
corner. Yeah, exactly. And he's just such a perfect asset to own this season.
yeah,
Chelsea's fixtures are lovely from game week 16 onwards. Everton away could be tough, but then Sheffield United at home, Wolves away, Crystal Palace at home. I feel like they're a team that you can invest in. They are very hot and cold at times,
yeah.
but they do score goals at times as well. So I think I would want to get him in. I saw somebody in the chat, FPL Gamer, saying, "Do you want to own Palmer instead of Gordon?"
See, I
That was my
want
plan all
both.
along. I know, and it's how to get both in. But the thing is with Gordon, like I said, they've got games every 3 days now, all the way up to January. He's
Yeah.
gonna miss some games. They've got
Oh,
PSG, they've got Milan tonight. Is it Milan tonight? Who are they playing tonight? No, PSG tonight.
PSG. Yeah,
Milan in a couple of weeks. They've got Chelsea in the Carabao Cup.
yeah,
To me, it just screams he's gonna get rotated at some point. Whereas Palmer, I feel, is just playing every game. Even when Nkunku's
yeah.
back, I expect him to play every game.
I agree. But then I look at their fixtures, right, from 15, bar Tottenham. Those are really good fixtures for
Yeah, they
Newcastle.
are.
And look, Gordon's been really good at home. So obviously we're looking at what six. When's the next home fixture? So Man United. So they're playing your team. Yeah, what's your sort of score prediction on that? Like it's an away match for United.
I, yeah. I mean, they've just had midweek game, but obviously so will we. I
Yeah.
think it's going to be low scoring. I'm going to go. I'm going to go 1-1.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. You're right. They've had midweek games, so but the next home match is Fulham, right? So
Yeah.
there is what only three home matches, including the United one up to game week 19. So yeah, and
Yeah.
they've been better at home, and Gordon's been getting a lot more returns at home as well. I don't know if we look into that too much. He could get returns, but you're right. Like there'll be some rotation there, but also when is Harvey Barnes back as well? Like I feel like
Yeah.
that he's been out for a while, and so there could be some rotation there. But I feel like bringing in
Yeah.
both, like having
Yeah. I
maybe
don't blame
just
you.
go Bowen to Palmer, if
Hmm.
that's the case, and just bring him in early and have both, and that sort of frees up a little bit of funding to maybe upgrade Archer is what I'm thinking. I don't know if that's actually enough to do that, so I'll have to have a look. I might have to think about downgrading Trippier as well, like over
Yeah.
the coming weeks as well, which breaks my heart. Because I really have enjoyed having Trippier, but he's just not he's just not been returning as much as I hoped as well. Like his last sort of, okay, so he got a 9-pointer against Arsenal, but yeah, just a couple of those 1-pointers, and with the busy schedule, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't blame you. Yeah.
yeah. Can we take a few questions? There was a few questions that came through, and then we should probably we're
Go
hitting
for it.
just over an hour now, and so I'm just going to refresh this. I think there was a few more that came through, but let's give some of these a go.
Go
So
for it.
Nuclear Atoms asked a question about should I keep Hwang until Burnley fixture or prioritise getting Mbumo for him even for a hit? What do you reckon?
I really want Mbumo.
Yeah,
Hwang has actually done really well, and he's been one of the kind of
yeah,
underbought options this year, I would say. Took the penalty last night as well.
yeah.
Obviously, looked like he was going to blank and took the
I was
penalty.
surprised about that. I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, yeah,
yeah. It just says a lot about the Wolves squad, I suppose. That's he's the senior player taking it.
mm,
I I think personally for a hit, I think I'd probably keep Hwang. I think I would, but I do if it was for free, I think I'd make that move to Mbumo. But it's
yeah.
obviously the hit that changes it.
Yeah. Yeah. Agree. All right. Next one we've got from Marcus. One free transfer, zero point 0.7 in the bank. If Bowen is fine, would you roll and play Cash Taylor or sell Cash for Saliba?
Yeah.
Only have zero point 0.1 wiggle room at the moment.
I think if Bowen is fine, then yes, I would roll because you've already got that Arsenal defensive cover as well. I think that's fine. I think if you didn't have any, I think that makes a lot of sense. But I
Yeah.
think because you've already got Gabriel, and I expect Gabriel to play anyway, I think that's absolutely fine. The rest of the team looks really good. I like the Solanke shout. You got
Yeah.
unlucky this week,
Yeah.
and you've got a good bench there as well. So I think I would. But obviously, if Bowen's out, then obviously you're going to be thinking about what you're going to do there. But I think that team looks absolutely fine.
Yeah. Agree. We'll take a question from the YouTube chat. So Dan Black Wolf is asking, Saka or Son, who do you both prefer if you can only have one? Ignore budget. Oh.
Well, first off, can I say, Dan, you're an absolute legend because you were
Yes.
obviously the other person I put in the post from California, and I went on his pod not too long ago. I've
Same.
been returning a lot of favors, haven't I? Saka or Son. It's really tough, this one, because I love both of them, and I think I feel like Arsenal have been prioritising their defence a little bit more than their attack at the moment. And I think if you had to give me both, in terms of who I would most likely captain, and in terms of who I think could get me a higher score each week, I think I'd probably go Son.
Yeah,
But I want both.
yeah, well, this is it. So I'm already tentative about having Saka just because of the explosiveness, and he's been, I don't know, it's like he's playing very safe at the moment, which is fine if you're okay with like 5 points, 8 points, 5 points, But for another 1.2 mil or something like that, you're going to get Son, who's playing number 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd be tempted to even switch out, Saka to Son myself. But I think that it will definitely be, Son for me as well.
I will say though, like I said, that was like Sophie's choice for me. So like, I love both of them, and please
Yeah,
don't think that I don't like Saka. Right? It's just I would
no,
put,
that's
if it was gunned ahead, I would. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So Kaja is asking who to buy of Palmer for free or Saka for a -4. Oh,
Palmer.
Palmer for free, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would personally.
Yeah. So this was a really good question that came through on Twitter from PSB. So keeping this congested period in mind, is there any methodology that Andy or you apply to guess players' expected minutes apart from the pressers? The theory that one who plays in midweek won't play during the weekend doesn't always work. Yeah, we touched on that briefly, didn't we? With the midweek. Yeah, how do you sort of approach this?
It's team dependent. So there are certain managers that will say things, midweek, and then you think they're going to play and they don't. You obviously need to know about the managers and the way they talk. There's
Yeah.
also, for instance, Man City. It makes no difference whatsoever if they play midweek to when it's not he's rested them. He plays certain players based on who he's playing opposition wise. And also, there's so many tools out there that guess X minutes or will give you X minutes, and they're pretty bang on in terms of which players are nailed on.
Yeah.
And they're, for instance, someone like Darwin will be lower on the X minutes,
Yeah.
or someone like Pedro will be lower on the X minutes, and they're lower on those X minutes for a reason. So we know those players that are nailed, that are playing every minute, that are on penalties as well. We've mentioned them so many times already tonight, and you just need to try and focus on those. I think defenders is trickier, but it's the
Yeah,
age-old thing.
definitely.
Centre-backs are going to get you the minutes. Wing-backs are going to get you less minutes, but have more upside. And it's just trying to work out those. And if you're looking for bench players that are reliable, you go for those centre-backs that have got the minutes because they're the ones that they're going to be there when you need them, basically.
Yeah, agree. It's so hard. I sort of really struggled in my first season with all the cancellations and the fixture sort of just postponements, cancellations, all of the COVID related stuff. Yeah, that was really hard. And then on top of that, midweek games as well. So it was insane. Question in the chat on YouTube as well. Would you do Martinelli to Saka for a -4?
Martinelli to Saka.
Yeah.
For a -4, again, probably not. Although I do worry about Martinelli a little bit. I think he might have a few flash in the pan weeks, but it's always Saka I'd want. So
Yeah.
I don't think I would do it for a -4. I'd be looking to do it for free maybe the week after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, probably a good moment to sort of say thank you to everyone that's listening on Spaces and on YouTube as well. If you like this stream and some of the stuff that I've been doing, I haven't done a lot of solo ones recently. It's been really busy on a work front and just kind of heading towards the end of the year. So I decided I'm going to have a month of just bringing on some guests and having some, conversations without preparing too much. And so I've really been enjoying those. So but I'd probably end up doing some more solo ones as we get busy in December because just everyone's busy as well, so it's going to be insane. But if you do like this, please do like and subscribe. And there's like 25 of you watching on YouTube. Thank you so much for being there and being so supportive. And it'd be great if you can smash the like button there as well and subscribe. So, question from FaZe around Chukwemeka to Mbumo with 0.1 in the bank. Would you be tempted to make the move early, bearing in mind only one free transfer? Worried about surprise price changes, pricing me out. Did Mbumo go up? Did he go up? No, he didn't go up. Oh, okay. Yeah,
he did go up, yeah. He went up Monday morning, I think. So I'm assuming he's now got no wiggle room. I would 100% make that move. 100%. Yeah. There's like, if you look at your bench, there's nobody else I'd want to play that week. Getting Mbumo in, Luton at home. Yes, 100% make that move.
Yep. Yeah, no, I think, and one of the reasons why I went Mbumo early as well, despite sort of playing against Arsenal, I was like, I'm just gonna go here. We're like taking Mitoma out. Thoughts on so from Kaushik, thoughts on Arsenal defence double up for December with Gabriel existing and Zinchenko. So I've been tempted by the Zinchenko move as well. So cash to Zinchenko because that's the free transfer that I can make without. Well, I can make 2 free transfers, of course, but if I was to just make one transfer, I could go to Zinchenko. I can't afford Saliba. Would you?
I would not do the double up doing Gabriel and Zinchenko. I would want to make sure Saliba is one of those two.
Yeah, okay.
Because Saliba he is going to be playing pretty much every game. You'd be unlucky for him to miss a game, even during the Christmas period. Whereas Gabriel and Zinchenko, I've just got that horrible feeling if you've got both, that you're going to have weeks where you've only got one Arsenal defender. And if you're going double Arsenal defence and you're taking that risk to go double Arsenal defence, you want to get 2 of them as much as possible because if they're going to keep 4 or 5 clean sheets in this period, they won't. But if they keep maybe 3 or 4, whatever it is, and you have got double Arsenal defence and you're paying that money for them and then you don't have 2 playing, you're going to be gutted. Whereas at least you've got Saliba and one of them. I feel like you're going to be getting them more than often. So I love the Arsenal double defensive shout, and Flappy had it on Scoutcast as well. And you obviously reaped the rewards this week, but I'd make sure Saliba's one of them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. That's what sort of makes me a little bit nervous there. And I feel like I just can't get rid of Gabriel just because he's getting he is still playing. So until he doesn't play again, it's going to be the third strike for me because he's had two game weeks where he got benched or didn't play at all. Or I think he got benched and came on and then didn't play at all. But it's not enough for me to take him out at the moment because it's a problem that I can deal with. So question in the chat on YouTube as well. So from Gamer, other than Arsenal, who would you pick for defence? Actually, is there anyone else aside from Reece James?
Oh, damn it.
Aside from Reece James and Saliba, of course. Anyone else sort of caught your eye and think maybe sort of? I think you mentioned a Forest defender as well, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a few, but there's none that I'm really high on, if that makes sense. So Toffolo, who I've mentioned already, Castagna, players who at home could get you clean sheets. That's what you're really looking for.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I mean, I've obviously had Maguire. He's done me really well the last 2 weeks, got me 2 clean sheets. I don't expect that to continue.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's really not a lot of players that I'm kind of looking at. I think Wolves defenders aren't awful, but I'm not expecting a lot from them either, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
It's really slim pickings at the moment. If you haven't got Palace, but Palace are struggling a lot at the moment
Oh,
as well.
yeah. I remember your Mitchell,
It's
sort of bringing in Mitchell and getting
yeah,
that
no
haul. Amazing.
moment of the season that was.
Yeah. But that
So
ship has
it's
sailed,
apart from
right? Yeah.
yeah, big time. And it's like I said, apart from that, it's waiting a couple of weeks and maybe getting a City defender in preparation for the double game week again. But yeah, it's there's not a lot there. I just go cheap. That's what I would do. Unless it's Arsenal, I just go cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
No, that's good. So Ardil asked on Twitter, how do I move Martinelli and Hoyland? Who will be better for a long run for a long run, Darwin or Trent? Oh,
Could you is it able to open that up so I can see his bench? Has he got Hoyland on his bench, has he?
yes, yeah, it looks like it. Can you see
Yes.
it? Yeah, yeah.
Um I'm assuming he can't. I mean, it's a nice team, by the way, apart from obviously Hoyland there, bless him. I would, he's already got Saka. I
Yeah,
would probably do Martinelli down to, say, a Palmer or an Mbumo.
Palmer.
He hasn't got
Yeah,
Mbumo. So I do, yeah, Martinelli down to Mbumo this week.
Mbumo.
And
Yeah,
then Hoyland to what you've got Watkins, Solanke. You could go to a Darwin. I don't hate the Darwin move there. I quite like Trent, but I think he's an awful lot of money when defenders aren't doing a lot this week. So
yeah.
this year. So yeah, I
Even
would
I'm
probably
not going
prioritise
there.
getting Darwin in
Like I love
instead.
Trent,
Yeah,
but I just can't see myself going there. It's too much. It's
no.
7.9. Yeah,
I almost wonder whether because he doesn't already have Watkins, whether he just swerves Watkins and goes for a, say like a Darwin. I think that might be quite nice. Like I said, Solanke's got nice fixtures for a couple of weeks.
yeah,
But definitely do Martinelli to like an Mbumo or something like that potentially. You could
yeah,
also keep him, and it depends how much money he's got in the bank and whether he can move just Hoyland, because Hoyland's around 7, I think. So you could potentially do that. But yeah, it's a good team otherwise. I like Porro in there as well. Just not so much
yeah,
this
yeah.
week.
That's been sort of he's been ticking along as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, good shout. Good shout. I think that was it from questions point of view. I think that was the last one that we had on there, unless something else came through over here. But just looking at the chat as well, in case there
You've
was
seen
anything
it.
else.
You've seen Mark Southerns is in the chat.
No, hello. Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Sold Gordon for Eze. Would you get him back? Yeah, so we had a chat about that. No?
Oh, yes, I would get him back potentially, but no, he's going to be Palmer soon. So go away, Mark.
Hilarious. Yeah, look, I like I say, I was tempted to go back to Simicast, just even if it's for the next, 3 or 4 game weeks, right? Like I having sort of taken him out. I don't think I've lost too much on value side of things either. I think I brought him in at like 4.5 or so. He'd already gone up in price and he's 4.6 now.
Yeah.
So it's not
That's
that
okay.
bad. Not that bad.
No,
I'm
that's
just
all
kind
right.
of
You're fine.
yeah, no idea. So Kaja also asked, is Archer down to Mubama to free up funds okay, or just too sad?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have a pretty well set up team to do that move personally. Because what would you be saving there? Like 0.2, something like that, maybe. Mubama looks like he's playing, but
It's not
how
much.
much is he going to play? Yeah, exactly. And if Bowen's back, he could play up top as well. So Kudus can also
Yeah.
play up top too. So I yeah, unless you have literally got 2 free transfers and you need to make a move,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be doing that personally. Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to Suj on Planet FPL with oh my god, I've forgotten his name. The other guy from Planet
James.
FPL, James, that's it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Suj obviously massive West Ham supporter, and he was saying how Moyes is just not giving Mubama a chance at the moment, like to get those minutes in and just play, because he's, I don't know, super young. He's at 18 or something like that, and who cares? Like he's not getting the opportunity. But I had Mubama in my team very early on. Actually, right from the beginning, and I took him out on my wild card because he was just sitting there, not getting any minutes. Just looking at any other last few ones before we wrap up. So, thoughts on Bowen to Kudos?
Yeah, I really like Kudus. I think he's a good player. He's looked like he's kind of had that flair in the Premier League already as well. I think he's going to do well. Uh,
Yeah.
Fixtures are nice for 2 weeks. No, for 1 week. They got Crystal Palace at home. And then they do have Fulham and Wolves in 16 and 17. I just think there's better options, really. He's not going to be on penalties. Is he definitely going to play every game in this Christmas period? He'll play most, I would have said.
Yeah.
But I just think there are probably better options. If you already got him, yes, of course you keep him. But I don't think I'd be getting him in this week because obviously then they play Spurs away. You could get a return there. But I think I'd be looking at the other options. Again, if you don't own Mbumo, that's the way to go. If you don't own Palmer, you can get him in early. There are other players you can go for, I think.
Yeah, I reckon so. And I like what you said earlier about just pick the nailed on stable sort of players that are going to tick along and play midweek, and penalty takers as well. Actually, when you look at it from when you sort of filter down, there's not that many really like have good fixtures, nailed on penalty takers or set piece takers. The pool is pretty small there, so I quite like the idea of going Bowen to Palmer. From in my team anyway, is probably what I'll end up doing. Very very likely. I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, Andy. It's been so good to talk to you about all the things and just to get to know you a little bit more as well. I haven't been swearing as much on this stream as well, which is always nice. Like it depends. Like you've been super zen as well about your game week, so that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
But I was also, like I've got so many mugs that have so many like different things on there, but I wanted to kind of show off my Fantasy Premier League mug that got sent to me by the guys from FPL Towers somewhere in the UK. I was amazed, actually, just to kind of point out, I was amazed that it took it took a while to get to Australia, of course, but the postage was ridiculously expensive. So I'm really impressed that they still sent it out. It was like £70 to post out a notebook and a mug and like a keychain and just stuff. And I was like, wow, thank you so much. But I love it. I love this mug. It's really nice. But no, thank you so much to everyone that's been on Spaces and then on YouTube as well, joining the stream this morning in Australia as well. So most of the folks from Australia are having breakfast, and so it's a nice sort of breakfast stream. And coffee, early morning coffee stream for us. But thanks for tuning in also from the UK and anywhere else that you are as well. I really appreciate it. Please do like and subscribe. Andy, thank you so much. You've been a wonderful guest to have and just to chat to, and love your sort of sage advice as well. Despite the Gordon to
I know. Not a good week. Not a good week to have me on. You planned this as well, didn't you? I've had nothing but green arrows for 3 to 4 weeks.
It was so funny. Like when I saw your messages on Twitter, I was just like, "This is the perfect game week to have you on."
Oh, terrible. Like I said 4 years ago, if you'd have had me on, I'd have been cursing all over the place. But now I'm like, it's all right. It happens.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you so much for having me on, though. I really enjoyed it. So thank you.
No, thank you. It's been great to chat, and thank you to everyone again. Hopefully, this was you were the last guest I was going to have in November. Basically, that sort of concludes November. But it's been a really fun month of having some incredible guests on. So having Prass on a couple of weeks ago, had Elizabeth Halneck on as well, and also Dan Black Wolf. So it was wonderful to chat to you all this month. So thank you for coming on. And if you need any sort of signposting or something like that, FPL mode Andy around Sydney, give me a shout. Sure, maybe you can pop over.
Brilliant.
You're starting to get known over
Sydney
here.
Meets. Yeah, exactly. No, that'd be great. No, like I said, thank you so much for having me on. And it's just goes to show how amazing this community is that, in England and in Australia, streaming completely different time zones. It's been awesome. So thank you.
No, you've been great. Thank you again. Thanks everyone. Take it easy. Hope you have green arrows for game week 14. Good luck with the fixture crunch as well. Take it easy, and thanks again. See ya. Bye.